Welcome to the Shadow of History channel. Be sure to subscribe so that you don't miss out more videos like this one. Newcastle, 1972. A 17-year-old electrical engineering student named Rowan Atkinson poses for a photo long before becoming Mr. Bean. The quiet scholar was mastering circuits and currents at Newcastle University, unaware of his comedic future. Oklahoma, 1894, OOB. A young Kiowa girl stands proudly in a traditional three-hide dress intricately decorated with elk teeth. Her attire represents a rich cultural heritage and the enduring spirit of the indigenous peoples. Mexico City, 1924. A young Frida Kahlo defies social conventions by wearing a men's suit for a family portrait. This early act of rebellion hints at the gender-blurring identity and fierce independence of the artist. Chiapas, 1991. The sky turns to twilight as photographer Antonio Turok captures the haunting beauty of a total solar eclipse. This rare celestial event momentarily froze the Mexican landscape in a breathtaking display of darkness. London, 1978. A young Alan Rickman portrays the volatile Tybalt in a BBC production of Romeo and Juliet. His commanding presence and distinct voice offered an early glimpse of the legendary career that lay ahead. Soviet Union, 1966. A veteran stands in solemn reflection near the eternal flame on Victory Day, surrounded by memories of conflict. His silent vigil honors the fallen and marks 2 decades since the Great War. New York, 1975. John Belushi and Dan Aykroyd relax in their cramped city apartment. These two comedic pioneers were on the verge of changing American television forever, building a bond that defined a generation. Paris, 1800s high, in the chestnut trees, the taverns of Robinson offered wine and roast chicken via rope pulleys. These whimsical treehouse cafes created a lost world of leisure known as Les Guinguettes de Robinson. Kiribati, 1800s, a warrior from Beirut, stands ready clad in unique armor, woven from coconut husks, with a helmet made of dried pufferfish and a shark-tooth spear. He represents a formidable Pacific Island tradition. London, 1980. Freddie Mercury enjoys a quiet sleepover with his closest friends, away from the roar of stadiums. These intimate moments reveal the gentle private side of rock and roll's most flamboyant and iconic frontman. France, 1997. Madame Jeanne Calment passes away at the age of 122. Having met Vincent van Gogh in her youth, she remains the oldest verifiable person to have ever lived in recorded history. Florida, 1986. The Space Shuttle Challenger disintegrates shortly after liftoff as the world watches in horror. Arthur Pollock's photograph captures the tragic moment that halted the American space program and mourned 7 brave souls lost. New York, 1888. Jacob Riis documents the grim reality of Mullins Alley in Cherry Hill. This pioneering flash photograph exposed the squalid living conditions of the city's poor, sparking a movement for urban social reform. New York, 1907. Laborers stand atop massive piles of cut timber in the rural wilderness. This image reflects the sheer scale of the early logging industry, which transformed the American landscape to fuel industrial growth. Mexican border, 1929. During the height of Prohibition, driver displays a bold banner on his car. This defiant act highlights the era's tension as smugglers and citizens navigated the controversial laws governing alcohol consumption. Hollywood, 1951. Marilyn Monroe proves her legendary beauty can shine even in a lowly potato sack. Commissioned as a publicity stunt to answer critics, the photos became iconic symbols of her effortless and undeniable charm. Normandy, 1947. 2 years after the war, children play on the sands of Omaha Beach. David Seymour captures a poignant contrast as new life returns to a coastline once defined by the violence of invasion. Russia, 1910. Grigory Rasputin. The infamous mystic gazes intensely into the camera as a spiritual advisor to the Romanovs. His perceived influence over the Tsar helped destabilize the monarchy during the empire's final turbulent years. New York, 1924. A motorman guides his trolley car past the Williamsburg Bridge. This snapshot of daily transit captures the rhythmic pulse of a city in motion before the automobile completely dominated the busy streets. Thailand, 1967. Colonel Robin Olds prepares for his final combat mission in an F-4 cockpit. A legendary triple ace, his leadership at Ubon Base marked the end of a heroic career spanning 2 major wars. Paris, 1895. The Moulin Rouge glows with the vibrant energy of the Belle Époque. Roger Violet's photograph preserves the birthplace of the modern can-can, a temple of music and dance that defined Parisian nightlife. Mississippi, 1911. Lewis Hine captures child laborers picking shrimp at the Peerless Oyster Company. Photographed while the bosses were away, these young faces helped expose the harsh realities of industrial exploitation to the American public. Canada, 2021. The world says goodbye to Christopher Plummer, a titan of stage and screen from Captain Von Trapp to Shakespearean kings. His career spanned 7 decades, leaving an indelible mark on the performing arts. California, 1967. Major Robert H. Lawrence Jr. is introduced as the first African-American astronaut, though his life was cut short in a tragic accident. His selection for the manned orbiting laboratory broke vital barriers. New Jersey, 1936. The massive Hindenburg airship moors at Lakehurst Naval Air Station. This giant of the skies represented the pinnacle of luxury travel, shortly before its fiery end changed the course of aviation. History. England, 1955. Jack Bradley captures a candid moment titled "A Few Seconds Before Happiness." A small boy waits in pure anticipation for a simple joy, immortalizing the universal feeling of childhood wonder and excitement. Spain, 1960. Future King Juan Carlos and King Constantine of Greece practice karate. Together, this rare glimpse into the private lives of European royalty shows a shared moment of discipline and friendship between 2 monarchs. North Pole, 1897. Say Andre and his crew stand by their crashed balloon on the pack ice. They perished during their trek to safety, but their recovered film later revealed the story of their doomed expedition. Glendale, 1960. Citizens line up for drive-in vaccinations to combat a sudden polio outbreak in just over 2 hours. Thousands receive shots demonstrating a community's rapid and organized response to a looming public health crisis. Wisconsin, 1933. Striking dairy farmers dump fresh milk onto a rural road during the Great Depression. This desperate act of protest aimed to raise collapsing prices, highlighting the severe economic struggle of America's heartland. Toronto, 1904. The skyline lies in ruins. Following the Great Fire, smoldering debris and skeletal remains of buildings stretch across the city center, marking a transformative moment of destruction and subsequent urban rebirth. Soviet Union, 1982. The 10 Lysenko brothers stand together in their Ukrainian village. Remarkably, every brother fought on the front lines of World War II, and against all odds, every single one survived. Chess, Sweden, 1959. A friendly game of bandy on a frozen lake is suddenly interrupted. The players pause as a local resident navigates through the match, capturing a charming moment of community life. California, 1920. Charlie Chaplin and young Jackie Coogan share a moment on the set of The Kid. This partnership created one of cinema's most enduring masterpieces, blending slapstick comedy with profound silent heartbreak. Czechoslovakia, 1968. Soviet tanks roll into the streets, interrupting a young couple's wedding. The joint invasion by Warsaw Pact forces crushed the Prague Spring, turning a day of celebration into a haunting occupation. Montreal, 1889. Firemen battle a fierce blaze in sub-zero temperatures. The water freezes instantly upon contact with the air, coating the scene in thick ice and creating a surreal crystalline landscape of fire. Tehran, 1943. A Polish woman and her grandchildren wait at an American Red Cross camp, having fled the horrors of war. They find a temporary sanctuary in Iran before seeking a permanent new home. Belgium, 1920. American athlete Frank Foss soars through the air at the Antwerp Summer Olympics. Clearing 13 feet and 5 inches, his record-breaking performance secured the gold medal and redefined the pole vault. New York, 1975. Music legend Bob Dylan and boxing icon Muhammad Ali meet at Madison Square Garden. This rare encounter brought together two cultural titans who defined the spirit and defiance of their era. Chicago, 1936. An innovative elevator garage showcases the city's vertical ambitions. John Gutman captures this mechanical marvel, reflecting an era of rapid industrial growth and the evolving relationship between urban architecture and automobiles. Los Angeles, 1975. Tom Waits's car sits parked outside the Troubadour on Santa Monica Boulevard, awaiting his midnight show. The scene perfectly captures the gritty nocturnal atmosphere that defined the musician's early career. Paris, 1952. Patrons relax at the iconic Café de Flore. Robert Capa's lens immortalizes the bohemian heart of the city, where intellectuals and artists gathered to discuss philosophy over coffee and cigarettes. New Orleans, 1955. Passengers sit in a city trolley captured by photographer Robert Frank. The image serves as a powerful study of social layering and the quiet, everyday realities of life in America. United States, 1954. On a dairy farm, hungry cats balance on their hind legs to catch squirts of fresh milk. This playful moment captures a whimsical side of rural life and animal ingenuity. New York, 1966. Audrey Hepburn epitomizes high fashion in a Givenchy ensemble, and Oliver Goldsmith's sunglasses, Douglas Kirkland's portrait, captures the timeless elegance and cinematic grace of one of Hollywood's most beloved icons. Cameroon, 1910. The intricate towering structures of traditional Bamileke architecture rise in Fumban. These masterfully crafted buildings reflect the deep cultural heritage and sophisticated design of the historic kingdom of Bamum in Africa. London, 1938. A hotel commissionaire stoops down for a serious conversation with a dachshund in Piccadilly Circus. This whimsical street scene highlights the eccentric charm and quiet moments of pre-war British life. Vietnam, 1963. American planes streak across the sky, dropping napalm on Viet Cong positions. This early aerial strike by Larry Burroughs documents the escalating violence and the devastating environmental impact of the conflict. United States, 1950. A caravan of GM Future liners travels across the country. For the Parade of Progress, these Art Deco vehicles brought the world of tomorrow to small-town America, showcasing mid-century technological optimism. South Africa, 1880. Miners descend into the depths of the Kimberley diamond mine via a precarious aerial tram. This dangerous commute highlights the grueling labor and high stakes of the 19th century diamond rush. China 1985. The British pop duo Wham performs during their historic tour as one of the first Western pop acts to visit. They bridged a massive cultural gap during the nation's opening up. Melbourne 1956. Blood streams from Irvin Zador's eye during a violent water polo match against the USSR dubbed Blood in the Water. The game mirrored the intense political tensions of the Soviet invasion. Nottinghamshire, 1917. Women worked tirelessly at the National Shell Filling Factory painting munitions for the front. Their vital labor at Chilwell was essential to the war effort, highlighting the changing roles of women. Texas, 1939. An oil field worker takes a brief break to drink water from a battered metal pan. The gritty scene reflects the harsh physical demands and relentless heat of the Kilgore. Riggs. Arkansas, 1938. A farmer's wife and children sit in their modest living room, focused on a tabletop radio. This small device served as their primary connection to the music and news of the world. Italy, 1959. School children glide over the Panaro River on a makeshift chairlift with their bridge destroyed in the war. This precarious rope and pulley system became their only daily path to reach their village classroom. Oklahoma, 1939. The daughter of a day laborer sits in a two-room shack. Her downcast gaze and 17 years of missed schooling reflect the profound hopelessness of families worn down by economic ruin. New York, 1960. A young Denzel Washington serves as an honorary police chief during a boys' club visit. His natural poise and steady confidence offer a brief glimpse of the future leading man. California, 1942. An Army corporal treats his girlfriend to dinner in Bakersfield. This simple, intimate moment of romance offers a brief respite from the looming duties and anxieties of a nation at war. New Mexico, 1940. Farm children in Peñasco endure the hardships of poverty, with one boy's shoes split open and the other barefoot. The image captures the stark, difficult reality of rural childhood survival. Vermont, 1941. Girls at the state fair proudly wear dresses crafted from flour sacks. These handmade garments serve as a testament to the resourcefulness and resilience of families during a time of scarcity. North Carolina, 1939. Children of a mill worker share a watermelon on the porch of their rented home despite their humble surroundings. The simple joy of the summer fruit offers a brief, sweet escape. Hong Kong, 2024. The sun sets over the dense urban jungle, bathing the skyscrapers in a warm golden glow. Lee Mumford captures the vibrant modern energy of a city that never stops moving. Iceland, 2018. Strongman half-Thor Julius Björnsson stands beside his wife Kelsey Henson. The striking height difference between the mountain and his partner highlights their unique and much discussed presence in the public eye. Vietnam, 1968 pilot Hugh Thompson stands by his helicopter. He famously intervened during the My Lai massacre landing, his craft between American troops and fleeing civilians to stop the senseless killing of innocents. England, 1962, Michael Douglas celebrates his 18th birthday. Alongside actress Hayley Mills, this youthful encounter between two future stars captures a moment of innocence before their respective paths towards cinematic greatness diverged. California, 1936. A little girl proudly presents her pet toad at a Venice beach show. This charming snapshot of childhood captures a simpler time when a backyard amphibian could be a prized companion. Atlanta, 1864, General William Tecumseh Sherman surveys the captured city. His strategic leadership and total war philosophy were instrumental in the Union's victory, forever changing the landscape and history of the American South. Vietnam, 1980. a farmer stands quietly beside the rusted wreckage of a B-52 Stratofortress. Years after the conflict, the remains of the massive bomber serve as a silent metallic monument. For in the field. Oregon, 1939, an out-of-work lumberjack harvests beans with his wife. His Social Security number is tattooed on his arm, a desperate attempt to ensure his identity remained intact during the Great Depression's upheaval. France, 1916. The Battle of the Somme erupts in a devastating clash of empires following a week-long barrage of 1 million shells. The offensive became a brutal stalemate, claiming over 1 million lives. Mississippi, 1911. Young children work 7-hour shifts, shucking oysters around their school day. Lewis Hines photography documented these grueling hours, forcing a national conversation about the ethics of child labor in industrial America. Soviet Union, 1945. All 10 Lysenko brothers return home safely after serving on the front lines there. So collective survival remains one of the most incredible family stories of endurance from the Second World War. North Africa, 1943. General George S. Patton surveys the desert battlefield, known for his aggressive leadership and flamboyant style. He played a critical role in the Allied victory during the pivotal Mediterranean campaign. France, 1917. A French soldier takes a solitary lunch break near Reims amidst the ongoing carnage of the Great War. This quiet moment of sustenance reflects the weary humanity of those caught in battle. Hiroshima, 1945. A haunting shadow is etched into stone steps, all that remains of a victim of the atomic blast. This somber imprint stands as a permanent silent witness to the city's destruction. California, 1967. A teenage Stevie Nicks takes the stage at her high school Christmas dance. Years before joining Fleetwood Mac, her magnetic voice and early stage presence hinted at the legendary rock icon she would become. New York, 1995. The Twin Towers of the World Trade Center glow against the winter sky during the Christmas season. This nostalgic scene captures the bustling holiday spirit of Manhattan in the decade before the millennium. New York, 1937. Thousands gather at Madison Square Garden for a massive rally against Nazism. This powerful demonstration reflected growing American concern over European fascism and the urgent need to defend democratic values and human rights. Pacific Ocean, 1945. A Japanese dive bomber hurtles toward the sea, in its final moments captured during the height of the air war. This image documents the intense and desperate nature of late-war aerial combat. Belfast, 1971. Local youths clash with British troops during the height of the Troubles. This gritty scene illustrates the deep-seated tensions and urban conflict that defined Northern Ireland's social and political landscape for decades. London, 1970s. Roger Taylor, Brian May, John Deacon, and Freddie Mercury posed together as Queen. Their unique chemistry and innovative sound would soon propel them to global superstardom, redefining the boundaries of rock and roll. Chicago, 1910. Students at Franklin School participate in a synchronized toothbrush drill, part of an early public health initiative. This organized exercise aimed to instill modern dental hygiene habits in children from a young age. Hollywood, 1935. An early bedside drive-in restaurant serves customers directly in their vehicles. John Gutman's photograph captures the birth of a uniquely American car culture where convenience and the automobile began to redefine the dining experience. San Francisco, 1900. The original Cliff House stands in its Victorian splendor overlooking the Pacific. This architectural landmark was a beloved destination for tourists and locals alike before it was tragically destroyed by fire in 1907. California, 1915. Lumberjacks stand beside the massive trunks of felled redwoods. These early photographs document the industrial-scale logging of the Pacific Coast, showcasing the immense size of the ancient trees and the men who harvested them. Colorado, 1899. Nikola Tesla sits calmly in his laboratory surrounded by the flashing electricity of his revolutionary magnifying transmitter. This iconic image captures the inventor's visionary quest to transmit wireless power across the entire globe. United States, 1911. A vintage chewing gum advertisement provides humorous instructions on how to kiss a girl. This charming piece of social history reflects the quirky marketing tactics used to sell listerated pepsin gum to consumers. New Jersey, 1917. Female factory workers, known as the Radium Girls, paint watch dials with self-luminous paint, unaware of the danger their exposure to radiation led to a landmark legal battle for industrial safety and workers' rights. Cincinnati, 1955. A man browses the towering book-filled shelves of the old public library before its demolition. This cathedral of knowledge featured stunning, cast-iron spiral staircases and served as a majestic sanctuary for local readers. USS Oregon, 1897. Boxers and crew wait for the bell during a match on the battleship's deck. These organized bouts were a vital part of naval life, fostering discipline and providing entertainment for the sailors. Anaheim, 1872. Horses wait outside the fashion stables on West Center Street. This archival photograph preserves a view of early California life, featuring the brick Langenberger building and the wooden balconies of the commercial hotel. Vietnam, 1968. Walter Cronkite interviews Professor Mai at the University of Hue. This pivotal reporting trip led the CBS newsman to question the war's progress, famously influencing American public opinion on the ongoing conflict. London, 1947. AART. Young Julie Andrews practices piano under the watchful eye of her mother. These early musical lessons provided the foundation for the soaring voice and legendary career of the future stage and screen star. Germany, 1936. An inventor demonstrates a specialized typewriter designed for musical notation. This complex mechanical device aimed to streamline the process of sheet music production, allowing composers to type notes as easily as words. Stockholm, 1890. A massive telephone tower looms over the city, supporting 5,000 individual lines before the invention of bundled cables. This intricate web of wires was necessary to connect the growing number of subscribers. Sweden, 1967. Chaos ensues as the nation switches from driving on the left to the right side of the road, known as Dagen H. The transition required massive logistical coordination to reorganize the country's traffic. Russia, 1700s. Valentina Vasilyev achieved a world record by allegedly giving birth to 69 children. This extraordinary historical account details her 16 pairs of twins, 7 sets of triplets, and 4 sets of quadruplets over several decades. Syracuse, 1966. A massive blizzard buries the city under several feet of snow. The historic storm paralyzed central New York, trapping residents in their homes and creating a legendary winter landscape that redefined local grit. Brazil, 1986. Thousands of gold miners swarm the muddy slopes of the Serra Pelada mine. Sebastião Salgado's haunting photograph captures the desperate human-scale effort of the modern gold rush and the grueling conditions. Art of the Workers. Iraq 2000 BC, the Epic of Gilgamesh. The world's oldest piece of literature remains preserved on ancient clay tablets. These 4,000-year-old texts tell the story of a legendary king's quest for immortality and human meaning. Washington, 1884 members of the Kendall Green Bicycle Club pose with their high wheelers. These early cycling enthusiasts were part of a growing social movement that celebrated outdoor activity and the freedom of the open road. United States, 1935, Popular Mechanics introduces the controversial dog sack invention designed to carry pets on the outside of a moving car. This quirky historical artifact highlights a very different era of travel safety and pet care. Chicago, 1947, in the pneumatic tube room at Marshall Field's Canisters, whisk transactions across the store in Hadzundium. Seconds, this advanced system of air-powered delivery represented the cutting edge of department store efficiency and modern retail. Washington, 1980, Mount St. Helens erupts in a cataclysmic explosion that reshapes the entire landscape. The volcanic event leveled forests and sent ash across the globe, fundamentally changing our understanding of geological disasters and preparedness. Amsterdam, 1925. A parent navigates the city streets with a child seated on the front of their bicycle. This early snapshot of Dutch cycling culture shows the enduring tradition of using bikes for family transport. France, 1920. The Michelin Man mascot Bibendum appears in his early tiered tire form. This iconic brand character has evolved significantly over a century, beginning as a much more imposing and rugged figure of rubber. Italy, 1940, Michelangelo's statue of David is encased in a protective shell of bricks. This wartime precaution was designed to shield the Renaissance masterpiece from potential bomb damage during the height of World War II. New York, 1969. An aerial view reveals over 400,000 people gathered for the Woodstock Festival. This massive assembly became the defining moment of the counterculture era, celebrating 3 days of peace, love, and music. San Francisco, 1909. Veterans of the Spanish-American War Parade, with the world's largest American flag spanning the width of Market Street. This massive display of patriotism celebrated the homecoming of the city's brave soldiers. Kent, 1928. On a farm in Wateringbury, hop pickers navigate the fields on tall stilts. This traditional harvesting method allowed workers to reach the high vines, showcasing the unique labor practices of rural English agriculture. New York, 1912. The Carpathia docks at Chelsea Piers, carrying survivors of the Titanic disaster. Thousands gathered in the rain to witness the somber arrival of those rescued from the world's most famous maritime tragedy. Bellingham, 1949. The world's tallest Christmas tree towers over the city streets. This massive Douglas fir became a seasonal landmark, symbolizing the festive spirit and the grandeur of the Pacific Northwest's timber industry. Texas, 1940, a service station in San Marcos displays a variety of second-hand tires for sale. This Great Depression-era scene highlights the resourcefulness of drivers during a time when new, yet goods were often unaffordable. Tokyo, 1968. A thief disguised as a motorcycle cop steals 300 million yen in a daring heist. The culprit tricked the drivers into fleeing before driving away, with the cash leaving behind a mystery. Harlem, 1933. A brother and sister stand together during the height of the Great Depression. This poignant image captures the quiet resilience of children growing up in New York during a decade of economic hardship. Kentucky, 1953, in the town square of Louisa, a local rat catcher displays his daily bounty. This unusual profession was once a vital part of community sanitation and pest control in rural mid-century America. Atlantic Ocean 1912, bundles of currency are recovered from the wreckage of the Titanic. These water-damaged notes, I serve as a tangible and somber connection to the lives and wealth lost on the ill-fated luxury liner. Prehistoric era, the Quetzalcoatlus northropi, are the largest flying animal to ever exist, towers over a human model with a wingspan rivaling a small airplane. This massive pterosaur dominated the skies of the late Cretaceous period. United States 1963 young girls offer candid and varied reactions as they witness a couple's first kiss at a wedding. This perfectly timed photograph captures a charming and humorous moment of childhood innocence and curiosity. United States 1960, a massive 10-megabyte hard drive occupies a large cabinet. This early storage technology highlights the incredible scale of mid-century computing, long before the era of microchips and modern portable digital. Use storage devices. Tennessee 1900 department store workers enjoy a brief lunch break in Chattanooga. This candid glimpse into the turn-of-the-century workplace shows the everyday lives of the men and women who staffed the growing retail industry. Nebraska 1880, a pioneer family poses proudly outside their home made of sod. These resourceful settlers utilize the earth itself to build shelters on the treeless Great Plains, embodying the rugged spirit of westward expansion. London 1900, born at the dawn of a new century, your youth is defined by upheaval by age 39. You have survived 2 world wars, a global pandemic, and the Great Depression's crushing weight. Hollywood 1974. The luminous Madeline Kahn shares a laugh with the ever-smiling Mel Brooks together. This comedic powerhouse duo defined an era of satire, creating timeless masterpieces that continue to delight audiences worldwide. Cambridge 1877. The all-female fire brigade of Girton College stands ready for duty-breaking gender norms of the Victorian era. These pioneering students proved that courage and civic duty knew no traditional social bounds. Michigan 1958. A 7-year-old Robin Williams smiles for a childhood portrait, decades before his manic energy and brilliant improvisations captivated the world. He was just a quiet boy beginning his journey toward comedic legend. Missouri 1939. Mrs. Lawrence Corda proudly displays 800 quarts of home-canned food in the heart of Washington County. Her tireless labor ensured her family's survival during the leanest years of American history. Colorado 1895. A Ute woman poses with her 3 children, including an infant, in a beaded cradleboard. Their blend of traditional hide and modern cloth attire reflects a culture navigating a rapidly changing frontier. Hollywood 1942. Clark Gable, Shirley Temple, Mickey Rooney, and Judy Garland gather for a rare photograph. These titans of the silver screen represent the pinnacle of the golden age of cinema during wartime. London 1890. Poverty grips the city's narrow streets in the late Victorian era. This stark image documents the grueling reality for the urban poor, highlighting the vast social divide within the British Empire. Chicago 1955. Mamie Till Mobley is restrained by friends as her son Emmett's casket is lowered, her decision to show his brutalized body to the world became a haunting, vital spark for justice. New York, 1980, a 24-year-old Anthony Bourdain works in a professional kitchen long before becoming a global storyteller. He was a young chef honing his craft and developing his lifelong passion for food. Western Front, 1943, Artyom Sergeyev Stalin's adopted son commands the 211th Guards Artillery Regiment, rising through the ranks during the heat of World War II. His service reflected the total mobilization of Soviet society. Spain, 1965. On the set of Dr. Zhivago, filmmakers use industrial fans and shredded plastic to recreate a Russian winter. This cinematic masterpiece blended meticulous historical detail with transcendent performances to capture a revolution. Texas, 1939. A farmer's baby rests in a homemade wooden swing suspended from a ceiling. This simple hand-built cradle in Robstown reflects the ingenuity and tender care found within rural families during difficult times. New York, 1925. Mary Mallon, known as Typhoid Mary, sits with a nurse during her forced isolation as an asymptomatic carrier of typhoid fever. Her story remains a cornerstone of early public health history. Chicago, 1893. Nancy Green, born into slavery, debuts as the face of Aunt Jemima at the World's Fair. Her portrayal became a famous marketing icon, though it remains a complex symbol of history. Atlantic City, 1924. Ruth Malcolmson celebrates her victory as Miss America. Her win during the Roaring Twenties captured the changing beauty standards and the burgeoning celebrity culture of a decade defined by newfound glamour. California, 2008. The iPhone 3G changes the world of mobile technology. During these early days, apps were still a novelty, yet the device laid the groundwork for the modern hyper-connected digital age. United States, 2020, a 1973 Chrysler survives a collision with a modern vehicle with barely a scratch. This comparison highlights the massive heavy steel construction of vintage cars versus the crumple zone engineering today. London, 2020 Baker Street Station remains a functioning portal to the past, operating for over 150 years. The world's oldest underground station connects the Victorian era directly to the modern commuter. Pittsburgh, 1995. MacArthur Wheeler robs a bank with lemon juice on his face, believing it makes him invisible. His bizarre overconfidence inspired the study of the Dunning-Kruger effect, a landmark in psychological research. California, 1950. A woman stands in awe next to a towering redwood tree. These ancient giants of the forest serve as a living link to the past, dwarfing the human scale with their majesty. London, 1944. Ernest Hemingway walks with RAF officer Roald Dahl. This meeting of literary giants during the Second World War brought together two men whose wartime experiences would deeply shape their iconic future writings. Florida, 1969. 400,000 people worked toward a single goal, putting Apollo 11 on the moon. This image from Mission Control captures the intense focus required to achieve humanity's greatest technological feat. Italy, 1969. Sophia Loren cradles her first son. Carlo Ponti Jr., the world-renowned actress, often spoke of her long journey to motherhood, making this intimate moment a deeply personal victory for the cinematic icon. New York, 1996. Tom Cruise and Nicole Kidman jog through Central Park in trendy sneakers at the height of their stardom. This candid moment captured the world's most famous couple during a quiet morning. London, 1970. A British foot guard collapses from heat exhaustion during the trooping The Color Parade as the Queen passes his motionless form serves as a stark reminder of the grueling demands of duty. Giza, 2500 BC, an Egyptian dress meticulously crafted from over 7,000 beads is recovered from a tomb. This ancient garment showcases the extraordinary craftsmanship and sophisticated fashion of a civilization 4 millennia old. Rome, 2013. James Gandolfini enjoys his final meal before a fatal heart attack. the legendary actor's sudden passing in Italy shocked the world, marking the end of a career defined by immense dramatic power. London, 1854. Roger Fenton captures a formal portrait of Prince Alfred and Prince Albert Edward with their tutor. This rare image from the royal collection offers a glimpse into the childhood of a future king. North Atlantic, 1978. A Royal Navy Fairey Gannet radar picket sits on the deck of HMS Ark Royale during exercise Northern Wedding. This specialized aircraft served as a vital shield for the fleet below. Russia, 1941. Near the town of Utua, Finnish soldiers utilize a massive rubber slingshot to hurl grenades at enemy positions. This improvised weapon could launch explosives up to 150 meters during battle. Germany, 1930. Members of an SS fencing club engage in intense practice sessions. These matches were designed to instill discipline and martial skill as the organization expanded its influence during the pre-war years. Slovenia, 1944. In the town of Idrija SS, soldiers execute a prisoner with an axe. This brutal photograph documents the horrific war crimes and senseless violence committed during the occupation of Eastern Europe. St. Louis, 1965. Eros Saarinen's iconic Jefferson National Expansion Memorial rises toward the sky. The Gateway Arch, still under construction, began to define the city's skyline as a symbol of America's westward expansion. United States, 1954. Salvador Dali poses for a portrait showcasing his world-famous a gravity-defying mustache. The eccentric artist used his unique appearance to complement his surrealist masterpieces and captivate the global public's imagination. Santiago, 1983. Riot police stand amidst thousands of protest leaflets on the anniversary of the coup. This tense scene captures the civil unrest and brave resistance against the repressive regime of General Augusto Pinochet. California, 1976. In a modest bedroom, the first Apple computers sit assembled on a desk. This rare photograph captures Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak at the very beginning of a revolution that changed technology. Atlantic City, 1964. Senior citizens gather at the Democratic National Convention to advocate for Medicare. Their passionate activism helped pave the way for landmark legislation ensuring health care security for millions of aging Americans. England, 1856. Sergeant Dawson of the Grenadier Guards displays the physical toll of the Crimean War. His wounds serve as a somber testament to the brutal realities faced by soldiers in the mid-19th century. Utah, 1935. Sir Malcolm Campbell and his team tow the Bluebird racing car onto the vast salt flats seeking a new world land speed record. They push the limits of automotive engineering and bravery. Leningrad, 1944. Battalions of Soviet soldiers marched toward the front lines, having survived a devastating siege. These determined troops began the final push to liberate their territory and defeat the invading German forces. Soviet Union, 1943. Disarmed soldiers of the German Wehrmacht are marched into captivity this long. Column of prisoners represents the shifting tide of the war as Soviet forces gained the upper hand. South Vietnam, 1972. Soldiers armed with anti-tank weapons stand guard over a column of destroyed North Vietnamese tanks. The streets of An Loc became a graveyard for armor during this intense and pivotal battle. Afghanistan, 1986. Soviet troops navigate the rugged mountain terrain during a decade of brutal conflict. This image captures the harsh reality of a war that would eventually contribute to the Soviet Union's collapse. Hong Kong 1860 spectators gather in their finest attire to watch a local sporting event. This early photograph documents the colonial social life and the diverse crowds that characterize the growing Pacific trade hub. Rio de Janeiro 1875 Street. Vendors navigate the busy city captured by photographer Mark Ferrez. This colorized scene brings to life the vibrant commerce and daily struggles of the Brazilian working class long ago. French Indochina 1945. A U.S. Navy helldiver streaks over burning Japanese merchant ships. This dramatic strike photo documents the intense aerial campaign to sever enemy supply lines in the final months of the war. Rio de Janeiro, 1942. Brazilian students take to the streets to mock the leaders of the Axis powers. This satirical performance reflected the nation's growing alignment with the Allies during the global conflict. London, 1914. Suffragette leader Emmeline Pankhurst is forcibly arrested in front of Buckingham Palace. Her defiant struggle for women's right to vote sparked a national movement that eventually changed the course of history. California, 1910. Fisherman W.N. McMillan displays a massive sunfish weighing over 3,000 pounds. This incredible catch became a local sensation, highlighting the diverse and giant marine life found in the Pacific. Virginia, 1942. AB-17 Flying Fortress is silhouetted against a breathtaking sunset at Langley Field. This iconic bomber became the backbone of the American Air War, symbolizing the strength and resolve of the nation. Sikkim, 1938. Tashi Namgyal. The Dharma King meets with SS officer and spy Ernst Schaefer. This unusual encounter during a German expedition to Tibet highlights the strange political intersections of the pre-war era. New York, 1903. Laborers worked precariously high above the city streets to construct new telephone lines. This dangerous task was essential for connecting the rapidly growing metropolis during the dawn of the communication age.